It's my pleasure to introduce to you Deacon Gerald Dupont, who is the president of the International Diaconate Centre. Paul mentioned the German influence in the, John last night mentioned the German influence in the development of the diaconate, and the International Diaconate Centre is in Germany and has been largely run from a European point of view, but Gerald is the first president of it from the United States. His background is in petroleum engineering, but he also holds several degrees in theology and scripture and has taught at the seminary at the University of St. Thomas in Houston and the Oblate School of Theology at San Antonio, and was for 13 years the director of the permanent diaconate in his home diocese of Galveston, Houston. He's held many leading roles in relation to the diaconate in the United States, and he's here with his wife Peggy to join us for this assembly and to share with us now his knowledge of the global development of the diaconate. So Gerald, you're most welcome. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. It's on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me. And I'm going to plunge right in because I only get here, I'm thinking I'm going to have an hour, and then I'm told I have only 30 minutes. And then I got to listen to John and Paul, and I thought, well, shoot, I only need 10 minutes now. You know? Okay, let me see if I can get to this. What I heard, 50 years, well, y'all are at 51 or 52, right? 50 years. And the theme I understood was, let's see if I know how to do this. Yeah, to talk about past, present, and future. So I'm going to do some racing here, so just you to kind of catch up. And some of it's going to just be kind of a review of what you just heard from these two gentlemen already, okay? But I also want to kick in and talk about the global development of the diaconate since Vatican II. How many times have you heard Lumen Gentium 29 mentioned already, right? From the two guys. So we're not going to talk about it, but I like the quote of, it will be possible, depending on the translation, be possible in the future. So there are places in the world where the diaconate hasn't even begun. Huh? In some areas, we've been working in it for 50 years. You've been blessed with 50 years. Huh? They serve in the diaconate of the liturgy of the word and of charity, you know, to the people of God. How many times have you heard that? Huh? But I also, as a sideline, we almost get the impression that the only thing Vatican II said about diaconate was Lumen Gentium paragraph 29. Don't forget to check out Agentis paragraph 16. Okay, that's a whole different other talk to look at, huh? Well, just to point out from the international side, International Study Conference, more than 250 people from 27 countries attended this International Study Conference before Vatican II finishes. The last closing of Vatican II is not until December of 1965, right? You have cardinals, bishops, priests, theologians, and some well-known ones like Karl Rahner and others, and laity, huh? At the conclusion of the 3-day study conference, there was actually an audience with Pope Paul VI, where he gave his blessing. And his quote, this is a quote, task of a gathering which was going to spin off and create the IDC, all right? The task was to deepen the council's, you know, doctrine on the diaconate. That's a quote, huh? And the task is to put into practice the council's decision, huh? So that has been IDC's mission, to be a resource to the diaconate. And I just chose two. There's like 7 things that we're responsible for. But it's for information and suggestions, huh? And it's a service to and for the universal church. Plus, you know, dialogue with the Congregation for Clergy and other things of this sort, huh? I thought I would just quote Paul VI in the last session of Vatican II, when he said, "We stress that the teachings of the Council is channeled in one direction, the service of humanity, of every condition and every weakness and need. The church has declared herself a servant of humanity at the very time when her teaching role and her pastoral government has, by reason of the church's solemnity, assumed greater splendor and vigor. However, the idea of service has been central. Now think about that, all right? Think about the nature of the church and the nature of the diaconate. Because the church is a servant of humanity, it just had to be that the restoration of the diaconate had to come about because the church needed an icon of the servant Jesus Christ, right? Okay, good. Now I'm going to race through some timelines just to kind of give you a sense. So that was IDC established before the close of Vatican II. Then you have Vatican II closes. What happens next? 1967, Paul VI gives you an apostolic letter that implements the recommendations of Vatican II. That's where dioceses could start to apply. Determine the general norms governing the restoration of permanent diaconate in the Latin Church, right? Then we get June of 68, you have the Apostolic Constitution that approves the ordination rights for both episcopate, presbyterate, and diaconate. So the first deacons, all of a sudden, by the way, we had people that were ordained in 1968 in some countries, like Germany. Why? Well, because there was this thing, and I don't even go back to the concentration camps and things, sorry, but I'll just start. In 47, people are already thinking about, this diaconate, and you actually have groups forming, from that time period, especially by 1951, all the way to the diaconate, to the Vatican II, forming people, and I dare not say it, but men and women, for the possibility of the diaconate. This is going on since 1951. So 1968, we have ordination rights. What happens? People are ordained. No women are ordained, okay, at that point. But, bingo, we had people ordained right away in 1968, Continuing, 72, we have to clarify the conditions for the admission and ordination of candidates, okay? And in 1983, canon law tries to catch up. And I hate to say it, but it's an unfinished document when it comes to the diaconate. There has to be major revision. There's been some things that have been added and amended along the way, but there's a lot of work that needs to be canonically on the diaconate. We were just not there, and hopefully we'll see that in the next 10 years. Please God. Okay? All right. 1987, we have the address of the Pope in Detroit, and I'm not going to read the whole thing, but look at it. The service of the deacon in the churches is the church's service sacramentalized. Sacramentalized, You are meant to be living signs of the servanthood of Christ's church. Important in the United States when he came and that particular homily or that particular presentation. So bingo, yes. Threefold ministry, service of the word, service of liturgy, service of charity. And these are three that are exercised by, and this is kind of clear with what was said by Pope John Paul II. Ministering to the holy people of God, the Laus Deo, but it's the ministry of the bishop, but ultimately it's the ministry of Jesus Christ, right? All right. Now, again, I brought my books too. Yes, this is our version. It's pretty worn out. This is my second or third copy, so it's pretty still worn out. This one is not very worn out because this has come out just a few months ago, really, for us, this summer. This is our second edition of our National Directory, which I'm going to be quoting from this, but everything from this is in this, all right? It's backed up here, all right? So I'm going to be doing paragraphs from that. But again, I'm not going to read it to you. Notice the whole notion of sacramentalize the church's service, right? All right. So now I heard it when Paul was talking. Okay, I heard it very clearly. At least that's where I was coming from. I said, well, I don't need to do this. But there's an intrinsic unity to the deacon's threefold ministry, right? There are three, and they're never to be separated. Okay, word, liturgy, charity. Not only that, it says in our document that a person should not even be ordained who is not prepared to undertake each in some way. That's that whole interconnectedness of all three, that Paul was just talking about. So, conclusion here so far. The diaconate sacramentalizes the diaconate of the church itself. Now, that's the past. So I just caught you up with the past. Now let's go on to the okay, the present. Thought you might just have a picture where the diaconate is. We keep statistics on by regions. So England and Wales is lumped into Europe, right? Notice your numbers are 15,170. The largest is in the North America, right, which includes mostly Canada and United States. Some years they threw the Antilles in, so which would be the 1,558. But again, just Canada and the United States, you'll see we have 19,826. U.S. has 18,676. We've had out as much as 18,900. And next year, I've already looked at the ordinations, it's going to be over 19,000. All right. Notice Africa, 439. Look at South America, 9,345. Oceania, which is Australia and the islands, 519. Okay. Now we start doing some statistics, which will be a little bit different. I chose 3 periods, 1991, 2017, because in a sense we really peaked in several regions in 2017. We started to have a decrease in deacons by 2020, okay, end of 2020. Notice Africa, 290 to 465, but it's gone down 439, and that's because of certain bishops that have been assigned in about three countries. We've actually seen that they have suppressed the diaconate. So IDC, we have some work that we have to do. And again, your prayers, okay, your prayers and support would be important. In North America, we're continuing to increase. South America, increasing. Asia. Now I'm just putting the numbers here. I'm very sure that 281, that decrease, is false. Somebody didn't turn something in, but I've checked it in 3 different places, and that's the number. All right. I think Asia is hanging about the same. I think it should be around the 346. Notice Europe; those are pretty accurate, pretty good numbers. 15,170. Oceania continues to grow. In fact, in my opinion, Oceania is probably the fastest growing percentage-wise at this point. Give you an idea, when you look at the last 10 years, you see the increase of the diaconate. North America has been the greatest. Well, no, Oceania has been the greatest, but North America has been 4% and Europe 2.7. Look at Asia, was 9.4. The last 3 years, when you look at it, you'll see that Africa has started to drop. We know why that's happening, but I don't really believe the drop of 9% in Asia. I really don't believe that's real. But again, when you look at the whole world, it looks like the diaconate is increased about 3.6%, per year. We've had a drop the last 3 years. Part of it's going to be COVID and things of the sort around the world. There's other things happening also. But I thought I'd like to point out the 10 countries that have the most Catholics in the world. Notice the largest ones are coming out of South and Central America and Asia. And then notice the United States is fourth largest number of Catholics. Okay, so just real quickly so you see that. Well, by continent or by region, looking at the ratio of Catholics to priests, notice who has the largest problem. Notice who's importing the largest number of priests to their country. Okay? All right? Yeah, so we have a problem there. Notice the ratio of Catholics to deacons. Africa, Asia, North America, we're not in too bad a shape. We're better than even Europe at this point. Real quickly, my time is precious here. I'll give you some charts here every 10 years or so. Every 10 years or so of priests and deacons. Here's the Catholic population. And we've also had a drop in bishops in the last 4 years. Here's a chart, gives you an idea. Our priesthood is on a steady decline. Steady decline. Our Catholic population was on the same percentage of increase until the last 4 years. We've actually had a drop in our Catholic population. Okay. Statistics. Now, I would say the United States, as a matter of fact, is pretty pro-diaconate, but not every diocese has deacons yet. Okay. We have 182 out of 195 have permanent deacons. Every time a bishop retires and another bishop comes in, we start to add another diocese to the process. The way it's going, I figure by 2040, we'll probably have them all. Huh? There's 177 out of 195 dioceses that have formation programs. The reason is several dioceses, when the number of deacons approaches the number of presbyterians, number of priests, is put on hold, and there has to be a study done. Because it's getting kind of dangerously like, what is this? What is this? We had it in our own diocese, and after we spent 2 years of doing a study, a kind of a synod model and all that, they said, oh, well, it seems to be working, and so it kept going. And so in our diocese, we outnumber the priests 2 to 1, okay? 2 to 1. And then that's not it. The priests are just clamoring to say, can I get 2 more? Okay, so we'll talk about that in a minute. We do have some problems in the United States, though, okay? Just as quick, the data we have on the age of the diaconate, average age of the diaconate in subsequent years. Notice how it kept climbing, okay? And I was chief advisor, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, to the USCCB, the Bishop Conference. And every year I would make this day say, there's going to be a problem in the future. You don't understand. There's going to be a problem where we're going to be retiring deacons like crazy. And it's about the same time that you priests, we're going to have a fall off on priests in the United States pretty quickly, about the next 5 years. And I said, priests are going to fall off, and the church is going to be in a big way. Y'all need to promote younger candidates. Daniel, okay, you understand, right? Okay, younger candidates. I must have gave that report 7 times at some time or another. And finally, when the numbers started changing, they said, oh my God, we're going to have a problem. It took 7 years. So you're starting to see the change. We're starting to get younger candidates, God bless them, and we're getting there. I don't have the data on Europe. I only had 3 points, but notice that Europe has been younger, but I'm noticing that it also is climbing in age. I don't know where it is at this point, okay? But we do have an aging diaconate in the United States. We need younger candidates, all right? Also, when it comes to ethnicity, I give you the population of the United States, ethnicity, you see it on the second column. Notice the priest, the demographics of the priesthood and the diaconate. Diaconate is doing much better, but at the same time, we still need more cultural diversity. In our diocese, the Hispanic population is approaching about 50%, and in our diaconate, we have 428, 29 deacons, and a good third of those are of Hispanic origin, first, second generation. So we have well over 100 and some odd that can 150 or something like that are bilingual in our diaconate in the United States, because that's our demographics. All right. The education of the diaconate, educational level, is definitely continues to increase. More and more, we have our diaconate is increasing to have a master's level by the time they're ordained. So that gives you an idea what's going on there. They're highly educated segment of the Catholic population because in America it's a highly educated bunch. Marital status, we're at 93% that are married, 4% are widowed, 2% single, and we have 1% that is other, that are 0.6% divorced and 0.4% remarried, and as we go further, that remarriage is going to go pretty much to nil, right? But it seems to me we don't talk very much, haven't developed very readily a theological background a relationship between the two sacraments of vocation, marriage and holy order. That's something that really we need to do. I've started something, I've kind of given a couple of talks on that at times to try to get that stirred up. Huh? So this is, these documents for us. We ordained our first ones in our diocese in 1972. The earliest in the United States was really the end of 1970. We had a couple of them, but the 1971. So we had a national directory in 1971, which we had no experience with the diaconate. It was really not a very good document at all. Huh? But in 1985, we put out one, the second national directory, and something happened in 1993, which Paul referred to it several times. The pastoral letter of Cardinal Bernardine. It's a fairly lengthy letter, and bear with me. But when I take the pastoral letter of Bernardine and I look at the 1998 document, everything Bernardine said is incorporated one way or another in this document, right? So it's obvious somebody in Rome had that in front of them. It is a marvelous letter, marvelous document. But that influenced the United States. So in 2004, I worked on that document. 2004, the National Directory is the first one, and then this one is our second one. So just to give you an idea, there were 9 people on the committee, 3 bishops, 3 priests, and 3 deacons, and that was all that sucker. So we did that one. So I want to propose to you, in the United States, we actually have 3 paradigms, 3 kinds of deacons, I want to say, okay? And don't let me, I don't want you to get the impression I'm down on them. Those poor people who were ordained in 1971, 72, God bless them, they were pioneers. I'm pretty sure they didn't know what the diaconate was. I know that pastors did not, and I'm pretty sure from comments from bishops, they had no idea either, right? So again, bear with me. I tongue in cheek, my idea is that, you know, when they said, well, we got to have deacons. Here's the epitome of Vatican II's work of the Holy Spirit. The loudest voice in opposition to the diaconate at Vatican II was the United States. The largest number of deacons in the world are in the United States. Now go figure that one out, right? Okay? But I'm pretty sure when it came down, they said, all right, we need to have deacons. All right, who we looked around? They looked around to the sacristan, to the guys who were around. So these were the people, when I interviewed them, they're gorgeous people, but they mostly were oriented towards the liturgy, right? 1985, we put all the emphasis on charity, okay? All the emphasis. That's what I was formed on. It was charity, charity, charity. If you don't do charity, you don't belong here. Out you go, all right? So the focus was on charity and liturgy, all right? But then we got this concept, which I heard, you know, both in John and Paul, this notion, no, it's got to be all 3. They're all interconnected. They all, you know, are related, you know, unbelievably. So now we see it, that, I don't want to call it a balance because it's an integration more than that of ministry, of liturgy, charity, word, huh? But unfortunately, you see the percentages. We've got 11% from the first paradigm. We have 67% in the second paradigm, 22%. In our diocese, I would say the paradigm, the third paradigm, we're approaching 40% now, okay? All right, how much time do I still have left?
10 minutes.
Okay, good. Now, if you want to be humbled, okay, all of us as deacons, well, all baptized, we have to live lives of humility. So when we were forming this document, we went through all of this and that letter from Bernardine, and we went through it and we put everything that we said a good deacon should be. Now watch this, all right? It comes from paragraph 174. It says, there's a natural inclination of service to the Christian community and to all in need, huh? Psychological integrity is important, a capacity for dialogue, a sense of docility and openness, the ability to share one's faith, yet listen respectfully to other points of view, the capacity to listen carefully without prejudices, Respect people in the context of their religion, race, gender, ethnicity, and culture. They're not finished yet. Good communication skills, a sense of responsibility that includes the fulfilling of one's word and completing one's work, self-directed and collaborative accountability, balanced and prudent judgment, generosity and service. And this is my favorite, that's why I highlight the ability to lead, motivate, facilitate, and animate others into appropriate action and service. You just heard that from a couple of other quotes from a couple of places, Bernadine's letter, as a matter of fact. Now that's the human and pastoral. Oh, we're not done yet. Let's go down to the spiritually evangelical, sound faith, good Christian reputation, active involvement in the church's apostles, personal integrity, maturity and holiness, regular participation in the church's sacramental life, evidence of recognized ongoing commitment to church's life and service, participation in faith enrichment opportunities. We're not done. A positive and stable marriage if married, mature celibate state of life if single, active membership in a Christian community, capacity for obedience and fraternal communion, a deeper spirituality and prayer life, qualities of kindness and humility. Now, if you see all of that, they may demonstrate a call to the order of deacons. And here we are on the 9, we're putting this together, we're going like that, and one of the deacons said, I'm not sure Jesus would meet these requirements. Holy Moses, huh? Dear God, huh? Yeah. So our program, our formation program is the largest in the United States, and I'm pretty sure it's the largest in the world. We've got 129 in formation right now. We have a 6-year process towards ordination, huh? So you've heard some of this stuff already, but I want to go back to it a little bit. Deacon's response to the changing needs of society. You know, it's hard to put the diaconate in a box, isn't it? What does a deacon do? Back to comments that John made last night. You know, well, you can't define it by what we do because it depends, right? And I'm going to race through this, right? But it's very obvious that we're called to something not just inside the church, right? Now, unfortunately, around the situation, because of the shortage of priests, and I have a sense that you might be facing the same thing, the diaconate lessens the problem, right? I feel like sometimes we're the little munchkins that step in when Father can't do something. You know, I know I get the first call when it happens. So we seem all our times to be absorbed, you know, being in the local church itself, huh? But that's where you go read Agentis, you know, the mission to the world. See that we're challenged to some things. Notice in Gaudium et Spes, already quoted, you know, the challenges the church in every age to read the signs of the times and respond to them, right? Why should the church read the signs of the times? Well, should it not just look after its own, the chosen few? You get those kinds of letters also written, huh? The conclusion is no. The Spirit is at work everywhere. It's very clear the council wanted us to go out. The balloon, huh? We're coming out, right? Okay? So, it's asked, you know, Gaudium et Spes 11, people of God believe that it is led by the Spirit of the Lord. Authentic signs of God's presence, right? Huh? So, again, Gaudium et Spes 44. The church gives to the world. We're coming out to give to the world. But at the same time, it's very clear that we're a learning church. The church learns from the world, huh? So, already you've heard it. I was at an ordination to a Lutheran pastor just this past week, and my pastor introduced, this is my deacon. And you know, it's never quite the right time to say, I hate to tell you, no, I'm not. I belong to the bishop. You know? but at the same time, it's not the time to correct people at those times. This is my deacon. I'm going like, I don't think so. Right? But I'll work my buns off for you, buddy. Okay? All right? But the whole notion of collaborate service, you know, but a unique relationship with his bishop. Huh? Okay? And here's the other one. Notice in paragraph 54, which comes from Bernadine and also in the Roman document, it is a full order in its own right. Now, it doesn't go full and equal as Bornett proposes, okay? But, you know, it's full order in its own right. It has its own rights and privileges and missions and purpose, right? We haven't gotten there. That's my opinion. We haven't gotten there as a diaconate, you know, at all, huh? Yes, priests and deacons are two complementary and subordinate. So guess what? You already heard it. Bingo, there's a visual of it. From my point of view, priests and deacons, we're connected to the bishop, right? Who is the successor of Christ, right? So, but it doesn't mean that, I got two hands, but I need both of them to work for me to get anything accomplished, right? What does that pose? The pastoral needs of the diocesan church. So every diocese, deacons are going to be doing different things because it depends on what's the needs of that diocese, okay? Yes, parish, but I want us to think diocese, and there's a reason for that. Because when it comes to looking at the connection of people in the laity, I want to say there is an odd intra and odd extra component. We promote and sustain the apostolic activities of the laity, but even that apostolic, mission of the laity, activity of the laity, is not meant to be just in the parish, right? So there's all this talk. Paul had the quotes for the same thing. In secular employment, deacon witnesses to the gospel value of sacrificial love, makes evident the dignity of human work, and boldly proclaims the witness to the gospel. So again, this whole notion of that, and I'm going to do this real quickly. In my understanding is, we as, do I rub off and I lose my mic? Okay, don't roll, Joe. We as deacons, all right, we as deacons, we are the eyes and ears of the bishop, okay? We should be out reading the signs of the times. At the same time, what we see, we come back to the bishop and or our, if it's diocesan, and I will make that point in a minute, okay, our parish, to our supervisor and say, this is what I see. Go forward, my son, with your blessing, and we go out. We start doing it. But that's not all. What we are to be doing then is enticing our brothers and sisters, the laity, come with us. We help form them. We get it to them, and we back up and say, what's next, God? You see where I'm going with that? We have to think differently than how we're being used now because of shortages in the church. All right? Do we take care of the church inside? You bet. We have to do that. But don't get yourself so caught up in the parish that you can't read the signs of the times and say, what else? Where are the needs? Where can we serve? Right? Now, I don't even have to do the rest of the slides because that's the point of what I'm trying to make. Yes, we are connected to people inside the church. That's true. Right? But that can't be it. Again, should be. This is from the Roman document, contemporary culture and aspirations and problems of the times. Right? So, and I know, John, you don't like the word bridge, but it's used in there. So it says, deacon has bridge to the world, right? The deacon leads the faithful to the world. All the baptized are charged to minister by their baptism. So the deacon is signed to the church what all the church should be doing. That's it. That's a sacramental side, sacramentalizing service, right? The deacons be that leaven for the apostolate of laity, and become the link, a bridge between the church and the world. All right. So the whole notion here, conclusion is the true diaconate does not inhibit the laity. It actually should foster it. I find it both explosion of laity, explosion of diaconate. We're not short of work, I'm telling you that, as far as I can tell, But ours is to animate, facilitate, motivate, give it to them, form them, because we're a service of the word, teaching, right? Form them, let them go, have at it, watch over, be a resource for them, go do something else. There? Okay. Oh yeah, I could go on forever. The deacon brings the world to the church, brings the church to the world, right? Since he's involved in the world. All right? Yeah. By its very nature, the church is a ministry and servant church. Now, real quickly, when IDC does its work, where are the biggest cultural issues around the world? And I kind of ranked them according to the responses of our delegates and the reports we get. Immigration. It's 90 plus, and I got a feeling it's even higher than that at this point, but I know it's over 90 million. Refugee camps, caravans, you know the thing, see it. Climate change, health issues, of course, with COVID. Human trafficking even came in, again, what was reported, human trafficking was even ahead of war, but war was a major one. Young people, street gangs, runaway, homeless teens. I'll give you some numbers in millions just to give you an idea of how much, Lack of education and catechesis, natural disasters, and work conditions. Lots to be done. Lots to be done. So the question I'm going to leave you with for our discussion group is, how can the diaconate respond to the sign of times? Ad intra, yes, but ad extra. Thank you.